All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get rolling tonight. I'm really excited for this week's episode. We had a change in presenter this week, and we're swapped over. And this is kind of the testament of how cool our industry is. Sometimes, man, I know sometimes it can be cutthroat. You know, you see Twitter guys going at it all the time and all this and that. But this week is truly a testament of how great Twitter relationships can be, followed by the opportunity to meet, connect with people. So our presenter tonight is a guy that, I only knew from Twitter going into this weekend. Attended the play clinic in Charleston, and I got to connect for a few minutes here and there with this coach. And he's a young dude that absolutely is going to kill it. He's got a ton of great energy and does some really good things. So I'm really looking forward to how he starts tonight. But before we jump into that, we're going to go ahead and thank our sponsor, Simplifaster. For those of you that don't know, Simplifaster is a weight room technology and coach education platform. In my opinion, they're the best in the business. If I have questions, they're the team I reach out to. From a technology perspective, they're the people that have everything you need, from VBT, dasher timing or laser timing systems, whatever your needs are technology-wise, they've got you covered. So their blog is fantastic. If you've got questions on the weight room, on how to run things, or interested in a new topic, they're always my go-to. Their website is simplifaster.com. And they have great resources for any coaches with questions about the game. So we're going to go ahead and jump on into our session tonight. I'm really excited. Our panel tonight, we're back with Coach Kyle Jackson at RGKL High School, and we out of Veterans Memorial High School, we got Coach Elton Crock coming back at us again tonight. Both times that they've been on, each have been on one time, and both times they've gotten great questions and great feedback. So I'm looking forward to both of them being able to take in some information, ask great questions, and further this conversation. So I'm thankful for both of them being on. I'm thankful for all of you guys that have jumped on just to watch, take notes, and get better with our busy schedule. I know it's getting late. A lot of us have kids going down and things like that at this time. But again, testament to the game that we do, in the fact that we love the kids so much. We love our industry so much that we're willing to give up personal time for that. So it speaks volumes for us. But without further ado, tonight's presenter is Coach Antwann McCray out of the great state of South Carolina. Beautiful place down there, by the way. Coach works right now at a private training facility called 1111 Athletics. He's going to talk to us a little bit tonight about what it's like training some private clients. He's also transitioning to a public high school down there as well. I'm not going to say the name of it because I don't know if it's official yet or he's allowed to say it. So I'll let him say it here in a minute if he wants to. But he's a great coach. We're going to jump into it tonight. So, Coach, start us off. Tell us who you are, and then give us an idea as far as from a training perspective wise, some of the parameters and things that govern the way you coach and the way you do things.
All right, well, I'll start off by saying I am extremely nervous. You don't expect to ever get onto a panel being 24 years old, getting to talk to a bunch of great minds of strength and conditioning. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. And like I said, I may stutter, I may get lost for words. I promise you, I know what I'm talking about. I'm just nervous.
Hey, don't worry. The first time I presented was a train wreck, and this was not my first time when I presented 2 weeks ago, and it was not very good. So, we've all been where you are. We understand. Breathe and have fun with it, Coach. Nobody's judging you. We're listening.
Well, like I said, grew up here, born and raised in Greenville, South Carolina. Academic career started off at Gardner-Webb University. Went there as a outside linebacker. Became an H-back tight end. Spent 5 years there. Got my bachelor's in exercise science from there. Did 1 year at the Division II powerhouse, Lenore Ryan. So I was able to play with NFL guy and Derek Young. One thing about Lenore Ryan, they're gonna get NFL talent into that school. So if any recruits out there listening to school, if you get recruited by Lenore Ryan, you might as well be a Division I player. Had a short stint in the National Arena League. Wasn't really my game. So I got this experience being a professional athlete for just a little bit. Professional career-wise, my first internship was at the Extra Inch LLC right here in Greenville. Similar to what I do now, worked in group fitness, personal training, athlete performance. That summer, I kind of took the role of having like that middle school group, which is kind of where like I got refined as far as a coach. I don't know how many of y'all work with middle schools, but I think the middle school age group is where you really get to mold athletes, because they're still young, they're still fresh, they haven't really had many coaches that have taught them things, so you're almost working with a blank canvas. From there, I was promoted to being the assistant director to athlete performance and group fitness. Being in group fitness, I think for sure makes a big impact on what I do, from just being able to coach on the fly. I don't know who has worked in group fitness or not, but one thing about that, you have to have a modification and a progression ready at the moment's notice, because you'll get somebody that came in like, I woke up this morning twisted and now my back hurts, or I fell walking up the steps. So you have to be ready. From there, I became a director of athlete performance there and assistant director of group fitness. I spent a year there. Then I came to a 11-11 elite training, which I believe in what they're doing completely. We start off as just a soccer strength in soccer facility. We're owned by India Trotter. She was a former member of the U.S. women's national team, so that carries a lot of weight for sure. And Blakely Matter is our CEO. She played soccer at University of South Carolina, professional, and she's in the Hall of Fame at South Carolina. So we're relatively new. When I came to them in December. They had only had strength and conditioning for 3 months. They started in September, and I was hired in December. All right, training parameters. There's 3 coaches on the strength and conditioning side. There's me. I have Tanner Pittman and Sam Brindle. Tanner's he was a high-level athlete in high school. Would have had the opportunity to play Division I football, but ended up having some injuries. Sam Brindle has been all over the place. I tell everybody I talk to, he's not going to be with me much longer. He's had stints at Jacksonville State, intern at Clemson. He's a great coach. Love everything he does. Number of athletes I work with on the private side. We have, I think, 6 levels. We have our basic, our advanced, elite, high school, pro, college, and then the elite endurance athletes. And those are just high-level adult athletes that are, sometimes you'll get like a former Power 5 soccer player. Sometimes you'll get somebody that just wants to do strength conditioning. You'll get recreational athletes. You'll get marathon runners in that group. What I will talk about tonight is going to be more so to the elite and college group. The elite group is going to be comprised of high schoolers that most likely go to play college sports, and every now and then I'll get a late middle school guy or a girl who's performing past what our middle school group is really doing. Like right now we have a guy that's in the group. He's 6'1". Well, at the time he was 6'1" in 8th grade, probably about 155 pounds, and he was already able to front squat 175. So yes, I'm going to push you into that elite group. So one thing we try to do at 11-11, once you get to the point where we're checking you off, we have these progressions for our middle school group. Once you're able to check these progressions, that's when we get to moving you to that next class of that elite group. So we'll work with a number of athletes from 1 to 15 normally, and that's usually going to be 2 coaches, especially for that elite group. So most of the time it's going to be me and Tanner. We have 4 racks, dumbbells ranging from 5 to 60 pounds. Then we have a pair of 75, a pair of 80s, and then we have a pair of 100s. Kettlebells from 15 to 45, 6 trap bars, medicine balls from 10 pounds to 20 pounds, dead balls from 10 to 30 pounds, Terex straps. Our training schedule we work on, we go Monday through Thursday for on paper it's an hour, but I try to push for the hour 15, especially when I get to the elite and college groups, because we're doing so much testing. And as I've grown as a coach, I've learned to spend a lot more time on the movement portion rather than strength. I mean, my baseball boys hate it, but because baseball guys love to lift. I don't care if our lift has to last 20 minutes. If we're able to get our sprints done and our change of direction, our jumps, that's tends to be what I care about the most. Technology-wise, we use the skills timing gates for our sprint testing. On the cheaper end, but I love them. From just the simplicity of how you use them, how easy the setup is. I mean, a little bit more on the back end for us as far as like uploading the data than you would be if you had another more expensive system. But for what we are, being as new as a facility as we are, it works perfectly for us. We also have access to the app Metric VBT. Me and Tanner both have it on our phones. We tend to only use that if we have a 1 to 2 pro guys at the same time, or if we have this one elite kid, or we tend to not pull it out if it's going to be multiple people in a session.
Awesome. I've been you're the third person this week who have introduced me to the skills timing gates. So
Sure.
I never heard of them before. I think it was Wednesday of last week, and now you're the third, maybe fourth person even that has brought those up. So they're for those that may not know, like I was, they're like they kind of look like a cone-based system that you set up, and they're going to track your timing. But it comes with a. Does it come with, or do you have to purchase it separately? It pops up on their time.
Oh no, it comes with it.
Comes with it. So that's pretty cool. That way, like every system I've seen, it's usually a little bit extra, but it's a really great price system that from everybody else it's worked fairly well, like fairly consistently. So that's good stuff. Well, Coach Croc, Coach Jackson, you guys have any questions for him before he dives into how they train and things like that?
So, Coach, you kind of touched on, obviously, like you're working with a good variety of athletes.
Yes,
I think something that's good and would be good for us to hear, especially where former football player worked probably in football strength and conditioning, like that's what you were exposed to. But now, whether you're moving into position or even when you got to the facility that you're at now, how is that affecting how you are learning the new sports that you may be being exposed to if you've never even seen them before? So like, I know, like for me, like I was a college baseball player, but one of the best things I did was work for all of our sports teams as a public address announcer, believe it or not, because it made me work games. So talk to me how you're exposing yourselves to new sports, even coming out of a football background.
I think, well, the first thing I have to do, I got to thank he was my last strength coach at Gardner Webb, Curtis Whaley. He never turned me away from the weight room. So I was able to be in there a lot of times when other teams were in there. Even if I was to be doing my own thing, I would continually like watch what he would do with his baseball group, with the volleyball team, things like that. So I came up in a really good strength conditioning program to where we were always welcome into the facility. And then unlike a lot of schools or what I heard from your like exercise science program, we were actually required to go spend time with other teams. So we would have observation hours, 10 to 20 hours a semester. You have to go watch the sport that's not yours. And then also I need you to like explain what the strength coach did, why he did it, and along that lines. And then I grew up from being I am not an only child, but I have older sisters who were out of the house by the time I was in high school or middle school. So a lot of times I would watch other sports and I would try to go to the yard and kind of replicate those movements. So I've never played organized basketball. I won't tell my story on why not, but like I know how to Euro step, I know how to pivot, things of that nature, because I think I was just all around athlete as far as what I exposed myself to. And then being a guy, I've worked I think 12 different sports. From a coaching background, I think if you don't have a little bit of knowledge of sport, if you're gonna be a strength and conditioning coach, you have to be able to analyze a sport. Like what are the movements of that sport? What is known to be, what do people that tend to be successful in that sport need? I think once you go into looking at the sport and sort of breaking it down, like so for me, I work with a lot of baseball. So one thing I try to get into every session is multi-directional acceleration. I mean, because a lot of time our baseball players, they're going to start from a lateral, move sideways, start square, move forward, move backwards. So this kind of what helps me a lot is that I get a lot of different sports and that I'm able to create well-rounded athletes. Like I have no doubt the baseball players I work with could go join their varsity football team and be starters. And I think they would actually have a chance to go to college if they wanted to play football. I think as a coach, that's what especially in this high school age, I know everybody lives in this. I hate the term sport specific training. Oh, I hate it so much because 90% of all training is basically the same. I may change a movement here or there for, where they may get hurt more or what position they need to be in, as far as their programming. But I think it's trying to build well-rounded athletes in high school is the most important for sure.
No doubt. Wait, so you're telling me you don't put a ball in your quarterback's hand and make him do the slide set?
I'm not
Russell
getting into
Wilson?
that. It's too much heat on Twitter right now.
You said sports specific training. I couldn't pass that one up. I'm sorry. No, that's a good question. Coach Crockett, you have any questions for him before we get started?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, saying, you mentioned being a young coach and everything, and then the role that you're stepping into. My question would be, what do you want your identity to be as a strength coach? Like, what do you want to be known for? Because I think sometimes, and I know myself, I was thinking about this earlier today, like your coaching voice, right? Like they think you got to be loud, yell and scream. It's like, that's not your personality. And we all know, like, one thing about these kids is they can smell when you're being phony or when you're not being genuine. And so my question, and you can kind of however you interpret it, but like, what do you want to be known for, right? Like Antwann McCray is known for blank when it comes to strength and conditioning. Because then, or answer that question, then I have a follow-up question.
For sure. That's actually funny because like my next slide was literally like my coaching philosophy.
Oh man.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. So I won't even let you, give away the plot and everything. So I'll let you go ahead and present.
Yes, sir. Well, like I said, I have broken down into like my coaching philosophy. The first thing I have on this list is love. I think a lot of times in our industry, I think us as strength coaches, we spend the most time with these athletes. I mean, today I was training my high school group, and you pulled up Instagram. I was like, is that me in your profile picture? And it's like I've built these relationships with the athletes I have to the point where I'm at their games. They text me when they hear from college coaches, and that starts from day one. Like I want everybody that trains with me to have a positive image of me in their mind. When I think back over my life and all the strength coaches I had, the ones that all of my favorite coaches, all of them were my strength coaches at one point, or were strength coaches, because I think what we get to do, we get to help athletes get to where they want to get to. And one thing about what we do, it doesn't matter talent-wise what you do. It doesn't matter how tall you are, how short you are, how fast or how slow. Everything we do is literally about effort. I just need you to try. If you just try, I can get you somewhere past what you've been. Our next thing is going to be athletes first. My career's over. I've turned 25 years old next week. I had a short stint in the real league. Nobody's coming to get me to play running back. I'm 25 years old. I am 3 years away from when a running back tends to retire. So at the end of the day, I can't live my career. I can't live the rest of my career through my athletes. It's what they need. I know a lot of times as coaches, we tend to. It's hard. It is hard. I don't think any strength coach will admit it. Sometimes it's hard to like put yourself aside. You're like, oh no, I know this works. It needs to be this. We need to have this schedule. We need to do this lift. But it's like, once you really sit down and think, it's like, no, we don't, because that's not what they need. I'm all about what is going to help you. If I have to do a little bit more to make sure that we're getting there, if I need to be a big brother role for you, I will. Whatever you need, I am there for. Next thing is gonna be passion. Like you said, kids can tell when you don't care. Like when I want to be known as a coach that he gives his all no matter what. All my athletes know that I get up every day at 4 a.m. and work out, and that's because I want to have nothing on my mind but them the rest of the day. I want to make sure I'm not worried about what I have to do. I want to give you, for that hour and 15 minutes, you get everything I have. And next, which goes hands in hand, we want to create a high energy environment. I was telling the high school team today that when they see me, I want them to understand that it's going to be something that you want to do. I never want to be a strength coach where you despise seeing me. I don't want to be the guy that you're like, oh, I got to go to Coach McCray today. It's going to be terrible. Like we're going to do some things that are going to be hard for sure. It's got to be hard, but it doesn't have to be unbearable. It can be fun. Training can be fun. Next thing is just be yourself. Like I said, I started my career as a walk-on at Gardner Webb. I was raised by my grandmother. I was a 5'8" outside linebacker that got to play Division I football. Like I have a great story. I've lived life. I've been hurt. I've been angry. I know what it feels like to have nobody care about you. I know what it feels like to when everybody cares about you. So I try to let the kids see me. They may call me Antwann, they may call me Coach McCray, but I want them to know who I am. I don't want you to see the facade as a coach. I want you to see exactly who I am. And whether that be in your coaching, when I coach you up during the sessions, or rather it be during a conversation, there is no facade. I don't need to change my voice. I don't need to make my voice raspy. If I gotta yell at you, I will. But I don't need to. You don't have to come in the door and I'm yelling in your face. Like that's not coaching. That's not coaching. And then, like I said, kids see through it. Next coaching philosophy is that we're either coaching our athletes to do it or we're allowing it. I learned that from my head coach, Carol McCray, when we were at Gardner Webb. He would tell our coaches that all the time. He's like, if somebody in your position group is messing up, you either coach them to do it that way or you allowed them to do it that way. So, I mean, for us, it goes to, as a coach, have we prepared them for that movement? Have we coached up how to fix the movement? Maybe we should have took another progression before we got them to here, or what have we done to fix this movement? That's kind of where I see coaching philosophy.
Coach, you say you had a follow-up question for him too.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I want to give you, kudos, man, for somebody who's never spoke before. You're doing a great job. So, you're not stuttering and everything. Like you said, I was a little nervous when you gave us that warning, but you're killing it right now. I guess my follow-up question would be, you talked about just being high energy, being passionate, being genuine and everything. What are things that you do on a day-to-day basis, in a sense, like to keep that flame lit? And I say that just because you remind me of myself when I was young and you want to take on the world. And then all of a sudden the world hits back. Life happens, right? You got to move across the country. You're in a relationship. All of these things happen. And in a sense, it kind of takes away from that, right? Because you can only pour into so many things before you turn up empty. So what are you doing to have that high energy weight room, to have that passion for the kids? Because it's going to change, right? For better or for worse, it's going to change. So like, what are you doing specifically to keep that candle lit, I guess you could say?
For me, I think I've always been somebody, when it's time to lock in, I lock in. No matter what I'm doing, if I can sit and focus, which I try to do before every session, I'm like, okay, what is, I look at what I have written, no matter how many times I look at it right before, I'm like, okay, this is what we have. Then I kind of rehearse it in my mind. It's like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is how it's going to flow. And then from there, kind of, like I said, trying to keep that high energy is, I'm in a great facility. I think it helps a lot. I mean, when you come into a facility as a high schooler and your owner played on the U.S. women's national team, I think it kind of just brings a different fire out of you. Another thing about high energy environment for me, I'm huge on music. Like I said, I'm still young, being 25. Like our athletes know when they come in, it's gonna be music, music that fits what's going on. Like I'm not gonna blast music when I'm coaching. I have a bunch of coaching cues to give, or on new movements, or when I'm demoing. But I try to have it to be something they look forward to. As far as I may switch up a movement, switch up a warm up, give them something cool. Like today, I had them do. I've been implementing like traveling skills from Zach Deshaun, and I had them like do a backwards karaoke. And I was just like, I want you guys to self-organize how you're gonna figure this out. Doing things like that, making sure that training is never stale. Like I said, it should be a progression to everything you do. Like I said, and then for us, it's just tell them, like I said, as a coach, man, be yourself. Be what you think they need you to be. If I have to be the one to bring the energy, I'll bring the energy. But 9 times out of 10, they're the ones that are going to bring it. Because being in the private sector is a lot different than the school setting, because they're paying me to train. So I think that also brings a little bit of motivation with it as well. But then also, especially that elite in that college group, they're working because they know there's something there. It's not like I'm working with a I'm not with a younger middle school kid. I mean, I have that elite group is going to be kids that are juniors, seniors who've heard from colleges. That college group is going to be kids that are literally in college that may be starters that want to stay starters. They may be role players that want to be star players. They may be players that are trying to move on to that next level. So I think that high energy environment it's a two-way street. I think I expected it as a coach, and then the athletes expected from me as well. So I think just trying to build that kind of path, but I mean that relationship between the two, where you're both kind of building up upon each other, that's been huge for us for sure.
No doubt. No doubt. There's a lot of components there that feed into it. And Coach, I apologize. I just realized that I texted you the link instead of emailed you the link. So I emailed you the link. That way you can hop on that way and share your stuff with us too. I know you put some stuff together. So while you're doing that, we'll give you a minute. But man, this conversation as Coach is doing it, like this conversation and the way that the things I've learned from people that have asked questions have been fantastic. Like both of you guys just gave follow-up questions that matter specifically, not only for him to think about, obviously, like with answers like that, he's already thought about that. But like even for guys that aren't 24, like I'm 31 and fat and out of shape and way past my athletic prime. But like my answers to those questions matter to how I do things. Like, and to hear Coach say things like, you know, to be able to surrounding yourself with people that are coaches that are high energy around you, surround yourself with coaches that are, have achieved athletic success and drive for success, things like that. It really allows me to help answer my questions, and think through, like, if I am in the position to ever hire an assistant or have interns, like these are questions I want answered. And this is why, again, community guys goes so much into this, into what we do. We have to have a good circle of people we trust who we can ask questions to, who can ask questions of us. And this is honestly a big part of why I do what I do and why we're doing this. So I appreciate y'all for jumping on and sharing that. But Coach, I am adding you as a co-host right now. You should be able to share your screen. So
Gotcha. Yeah, doing my best. Like I said, for me to be,
you're good.
I'm technically a Gen Z, but I sometimes still struggle with technology.
Google sharing is just a completely different ball game for no reason. Like I don't know why it's so hard.
Every
to share
platform has
sometimes.
a different. Every platform has a different way to do it. You're good, Coach. We can see you now.
All right, cool. Now I got to figure out how to start a slideshow from here. Like I say, I'm just
slideshow button's a good start.
That's what I figured, but I don't see a slideshow button.
Over to the top right. To your right.
Wow. Well,
there you go.
Google Slides, baby. Google Slides.
Gotta love Google Slides. All right, Coach, you're good, man.
All right. So like I said, before you talk about anything, I feel like you need to give credit to the people that have influenced you. So on this list, I have, guys that I've had the opportunity to work with. And I have some of my strength coaches on as well as some guys that I've had conversations with through social media. This is a few guys that have kind of just influenced me as far as a coach. Training philosophy, I think this is every strength coach's philosophy. I don't think I'm special in what I'm saying. So improve acceleration and top speed. I'll kind of go over each one of these things in the remaining slides. Develop multi-directional acceleration, change of direction and agility. Develop multi-planar power through jumps and med ball throws. Increase max strength, increase rate of force development, and develop the posterior chain. And I think our overall goal is just develop well-rounded and bouncy athletes. I don't have a slide for the bouncy athletes. But when I think of the most athletic person I think in the world are triple jumpers. If you watch the speeds they get up to on the runway and then watch how reactive they are with the ground, how bouncy they are, I think when you speak about athleticism, you can't disregard how reactive somebody is with the ground. You see the same thing when you look at dunkers that usually go off of 1 foot. How reactive can we be in our sprint? How reactive can I bound from here, jump out to here? How quick can I get from a shuffle to a sprint? I think when you look at it, it all goes back into being reactive and just overall as being bouncy. Acceleration to top speed training. Our acceleration top speed training days, we do our, your typical, we don't do a typical warm. I'll say we don't do a typical warm up. Our mechanics are usually going to be what gets us ready for the day. So an acceleration day, what we may work, we'll work, a posture thing, we'll work projection. We've progressed our wall drill for the older group. We've added, wall switches, bandit. So you'll project into the wall, do a wall switch. We'll go bandit marches. We'll go piston runs. We'll do things along that nature. Not only is it good because it's literally what we're going to work on that day, but also I'm big on, preparing the lower extremity. So, that the calf, the Achilles, the ankle for everything. So we're able to build that up in the warm up. Then from here, we're going to go into bounds or power skips. Try to work more horizontal. So we'll do a power skip for distance usually. We've done some horizontal bounds, which once you get an athlete that's able to do them pretty well, you actually pretty good movement. We'll work. For me, one of my favorite acceleration boundings, I love doing straight leg bounds. I think you get that hip flexion and then that strike back down to the ground, which you do get into acceleration. And that after we do that, we'll go into different starting positions. So just a few, we'll do push up, half kneeling, falling. With me being in a small facility and then having less athletes, we're able to go resisted sprints pretty often. We just go with the sled. We'll do our resisted sprints, and as soon as we get done with that, we'll go unresisted. That'll be timed all the time. We test our whatever distance we're on. We start off 10 yards, and then I'll build up yardage as the training cycle goes. We'll test that. Test it every week. It just builds kind of an intent behind the training, and then as a coach, it lets me know like what do we need more of, or kind of even fatigue us, like is what I'm doing actually harming them, like as far as performance, or are we actually getting better? Top speed, we'll kind of do similar the same thing. Our warm-up will be, we'll work our A series, your high knees, your butt kicks, your cycles, things of that nature, anything working more striking down rather than striking back like you do with acceleration. Same thing, we'll go bounce power skips. Power skips, which kind of will push more to a vertical, or we'll do a blended, so half vert, half horizontal. We'll go regular running bounds like normal. My favorite drill that we've been doing now is our wickets. A lot of my athletes have never been taught how to run, and I think when you can drill as much as you can, but I think as soon as they get back to performing their sport, they're usually going to revert right back to what they've been doing. So with our wickets, we've actually seen like a good bit of improvement of the shapes. Like I tell my athletes, I say, I want you to run like they're not there. What we're seeing, their athletes are kind of learning how to, be big in the front side, put force into the ground. So we'll hit our wickets, and then after we hit our wickets, we'll go into our flies. Even though I have access to a 40 by maybe 20 turf, and then on the weight room side, we just have 20 yards of turf. We have a huge hallway that nobody's in usually but us. So we run our flies in the hallway. Great to be in a situation like that where no matter the weather, I'm able to get sprinting in, especially being in the private sector, because you don't tend to see too many private facilities that have enough runway space to do your flies or sprints. That's a kind of acceleration and top speed training. Anybody have any questions on that before I move on to the next kind of pillar?
Coach, for me, first of all, I love that you're starting with speed stuff. I much rather be teaching speed much more before teaching weight room, because I think that's untapped potential a lot of the time, because we don't have a whole lot of coaches that are teaching that very, very often. Mm-hmm. So I love the term shapes. What shapes are you looking for your athletes getting into, specifically running wicket drills, or maybe even those top end mechanics?
On that top end, I think you want to see, for me, I want to see them strike the ground with I always say straight, but obviously it never be completely straight. Like I want to see that leg like, I don't want to see you get limp when you strike the ground. I don't want to see the knee cave. I don't want to see your hip pop down. I say, what you call it, the figure four is what I want to see. So your knees together at touchdown. With our wickets, we've actually seen a lot of, we've done away with a lot of our heel striking. No matter, in most of the drills we do, I'm always emphasizing like that mid-foot contact, because a lot of our team sport athletes, they grow up their whole life and they're taught, run on your toes, run on your toes, run on your toes. And I hate to see my athlete run on their toes. So we get to that figure four. And honestly, I don't spend too much time on the arm swing position. I just don't. No particular reason. I mean, I have a girl that runs. She'll probably clock under before the summer. She'll clock maybe under a 1 on her 2010 fly. She runs kind of like sideways. She's a goalie, Division I goalie. But the speed she's able to get to, I just tend to not mess with the arm swing. But as long as I can see that figure four and the strike under the midfoot, that's kind of just the position I want to see. Team sport athletes tend to have a lot of backswing into their sprint. So, I mean, we'll drill, in our A series and our dribbles, being front side, we'll drill it. But I know when it's time to run their wickets, run their flies, they're going to be in the backside a little bit more. And that's just because in team sports, they're going to accelerate a lot more than it will be at top speed. That's just how team sports work.
Yeah, definitely think you hit the nail on the head there. I know at least in our speed program, like we don't teach a whole lot of upper body, because hopefully if we're creating enough proper shape where I want to see our guys and girls get to that kind of like cycle position. So we're dribble series people. So being able to step in the bucket, be able to build that circle, keep that shape the whole time, and then letting those arms just match the height in which the foot is coming off the ground. That's something that I really got into, and the fact that you're already kind of heading down that route makes me really, really happy as a speed guy all in all.
Sure. And next thing we talk about developing multi-directional acceleration, change of direction, agility. We progress from change of direction to agility. So, change of direction being closed, agility being open. I know some coaches do like to work both. I'm fortunate right now where I do have athletes that are mostly spring sports. Being in Greenville, South Carolina, most of your fall sports in the summer, they're going to be with their team. So most of my football is going to be with their team in the summer. If I don't train many cross country runners, but they're running their miles with their teams. We play soccer here in the spring, lacrosse in the spring, baseball in the spring. Also, most of the sports I work with will be spring sports. So I'm kind of right now just building that change of direction base. Obviously, I don't know the correct term for this, but change of direction. I teach 2 separate steps coming out of change of direction. So the cutting step, and then taking another step out rather than a pivot rather than a pivot. And I want to see them come out of change of direction almost in a acceleration type manner. That's if you think about it, coming out of change of direction, you're just re-acceleration. So you should be back into that striking back pattern. Introduce traveling skills. This starting this summer, learning from Zach Deshant. It's actually been really good for us. You'd be surprised how many Division I athletes I have that have forgotten how to gallop or can't karaoke forward. So just building that coordination. I think coordination carries yourself a really long way in athletics. I think a lot of times we get so caught up in like the what happens. Like, so we're big on results, but we don't really look much at how they got to it. And I think building that coordination base can really help us get to better results. Different starting positions on our multi-directional acceleration. So we'll start lateral, we'll start backwards, we'll start from a shuffle, we'll start half kneeling lateral. Any way I can get my athletes to build up speed from a different position. I may have them shuffle back, accelerate out. Just building acceleration out of different positions. Decelerations. I know a lot of coaches do put their decelerations on their top speed days. I don't. I just don't. I no particular reason. I've liked it much more having our deceleration on our change of direction days. So if we're doing a drill, we'll go cut. So we go a 5-yard cut, and then we'll decel at the end of after they've made their cut. I just like it from the fact that they're coming out of different positions into a deceleration. I'm just not. I don't see anything wrong with this, but I'm just not a huge fan of running straight line and then decelling. I don't see anything wrong with it, but I just don't do it. So like this week, we've done we shuffle 5 yards, shuffle back, sprint 10, decel. That's kind of how we do our deceleration. Frontal plane movements, I actually spend time teaching shuffle, teaching crossover. We'll start really basic, working one step. We'll build into, the yardage. We'll start crossing over, return back, turn that into a run. I started to think about my time as an athlete, and I realized how much time in my sport I actually shuffled and crossover ran, but we never spent much time actually learning how to do those movements. And then once you really tell an athlete, like if you think about it, how much time you spend in that frontal plane, they'll see the importance of learning how to do it. Maneuverability, like everybody's doing it now. Curve runs, I love it. I work with a lot of lacrosse players. So a lot of times they're on their cuts, they're maneuvering. My baseball players, they're running the bases. My football guys, obviously, you're not gonna be able to just make hard cuts all the time. Sometimes you're gonna need to be able to keep your speed while bending around. Also building our change direction and multi-directional acceleration. We do jumps in all directions. On the next slide, I have where I credit the guys from Elon for that 8-vector system. I love doing jumps in every direction. It can be lateral, 45 degrees, working zero, working bounds at different angles. That's how we just build up to our change of direction. So how our change of direction days go, we'll warm up. Like I said, our warm up will be based on what we're doing always. Before we get to whatever change of direction movements we have, we'll do some type of plyo within that direction. So if we were working the 45-degree cut, I may do a 45-degree jump or 45-degree bound, something along that nature. Any questions on that? Cool. All right, multiplanar power through jumps and med ball throws. I believe power is plane specific. Like I said, if it tends to not be, I don't think I'm doing any harm by building it up in multiple directions. Also, we do utilize the 8-vector jumps from the I can't pronounce the name, some Jordan and Nick DeMarco. We also do jumps lateral, horizontal, and vertical. So in my program, you'll see, like I said, every direction. It rather be a skater jump, a broad jump, a vertical jump, hurdle jump. I want my athletes to be able to jump in every direction. Mid ball release variations. We go horizontal, we go vertical, we go rotational. Then I'm able to build these intensities or take them down, making them more extensive. Build the power that you get from them, like give it a running start, things on that nature. That's the med ball throws tend to be my athletes' favorite things because they can just throw things as hard as they can at the wall or throw it to the sky. It becomes really competitive as far as the intent we get from our med ball throws. So for sure, one of the favorite things that we do in my program.
Coach, when it comes to your jumps, your med ball throws, and things like that, specifically to this slide, is there a target in your mind per session or per week that you try to get exposures in those jumps? Like, are you shooting for a specific number within jumps? Is there a set rep scheme that you like with your med ball based off certain things you're working? Like, what does that process look like as you're walking through a session?
Mm-hmm. So for the jumps, I'm usually gonna do count the ground contacts, or I may, depending on intensity, I may have it as a set or rep. So for example, like from the guys at Elon, they have it built in their system. You may go 1 week, 5 sets, one each direction. So I've been kind of following their guidelines on the 8-vector. That lateral, horizontal, and vertical. The lateral, depending on, I kind of count the yardage or, like I said, the ground contacts on that. Horizontal, depending on the week, and what we have going on, I may have it be a jump that's tested. So if that's a broad jump, I tend to go 3 trials on the broad jump. If we're going triple broad or double broad, whatever it may be, I usually go around 3 every time, and we test that every week as well. That 4th week is always going to be just the broad jump. No matter what we've done the 3 weeks before, that 4th week I tend to treat always like a deload. Our vertical jumps, depending on how many sets I have in the weight room, I like to contrast it. So if I have on our top speed days, I think the vertical component of sprinting is gonna, if there's a balance between the two, vertical and horizontal, I would say vertical is gonna be about 65% of our top speed sprinting. So we do our vertical jumps on the top speed day. Like I said, it's usually gonna be contrast. So if I have a bar jump or a trap bar jump, whatever it may be, if that's going to be 5 sets, I'll tend to do 5 sets on the jump, and I'll count the ground contact on that as well. For med ball throws, we start off more extensive right now, so we're doing higher reps, so 5 to 10 reps on those. But as the cycle progresses and I get to where I want those big power outputs, I'm usually going no more than 3 to 4 in between. So I try to, as we get rolling through the cycle, the med ball throws would be treated a lot like you would treat an Olympic lift. I just want that high power output, and I don't need to build extensive volume on the throws. And then like for athletes, they put a little bit more into it when they know they only have 3 reps. That's just as how it goes. I'm big on the quality of the rep more than I am about the quantity. That's just about everything I do.
No doubt. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Increase max strength. The way I see max strength, this is maybe a bad analogy. Like I said, it makes sense in my mind. May not make sense to y'all. Increasing max strength, that's like the top speed that your car can drive. This will make sense when I get to the next slide. I promise you it'll make sense when we get to the next slide. So things we do to build our max strength, we're gonna do a full range of motion lifts, bench press and squat variations, just like most people would do. I am not married to any exercise. We do not have to barbell bench. We do not have to front squat. We do not have to back squat. Whatever is going to work best for the particular athlete, we do it. I'm huge on front squat. So 90% of the time, unless I have somebody that needs something different, we will do front squat. And then bench press. Most everybody we have, nobody's having any upper extremity issues. They all bench press. I do have a pitcher that I don't barbell bench with. I try to limit the range of motion of that, so we'll go board or dumbbell with him. Do I think the bench press is a bad exercise for him? No. And is it maybe I'm living off an old wives' tale? Maybe I am, but I just, like I said, I just want to keep him safe as much as I can, and I think it's been ingrained in me so much that a pitcher shouldn't bench press that I'm just like, you know what? We can get the same benefit from the board press and the dumbbells, so that's just what we do. I'm not saying pitchers shouldn't bench press. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying everybody got a back squat. It's just whatever you see best, do it with your athletes. Use of tempos. Beginning any cycle, I tend to implement tempos. So what you say triphasic training from Cal Dietz. So right now our high school group, they're on 6 seconds eccentrics. Next week, and 2 more weeks, they'll go to the isometric phase. I think tempos could be used with all movements. It doesn't just have to be your main. Right now, like you said, I have a facility where I don't have a certain range of dumbbells. So for me to increase the intensity of a exercise, I can do a tempo with it, just to add a little bit more intensity to it. Unilateral and bilateral movements, I believe you should get as strong as you can on one leg. So I've done before where I've had a split squat as the main movement. And I see no issue with that. I think the biggest problem we have right now when it comes to debates about max strength is that everybody wants to say what makes you strong. We can't, there's really not a thing that describes what's strong. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to bench this amount to be a strong. You don't have to squat this amount. Strength can be built in so many different ways. There's no reason that if you look on Twitter, everybody's arguing on max strength is max strength. It's like whatever is going to make your athletes, like I said, stronger, because Like I believe what like Max Marshall said, you can't really define strength. You can say what speed is, you can say what power is, but strength is kind of it's a word we have to describe something. Whatever it means that increase your strength, whatever means you believe in, do them. That's just how I feel when it comes to max strength. I do believe it's important for sure. It's for sure important. Like I said, it's the max speed that your car can drive. Any questions on that?
What are obviously, say with the way that you think as far as increased max strength, right? You have the list. What are the most things, like I know you said you don't specifically gravitate toward one lift or the other. What are the big buckets as you transition to the high school sector? What are some of those big buckets when it comes to max strength lifts or max strength expressions that you're looking for and that you'll measure and that you want to track the most?
I think for sure I'll keep what I have now in the bench press and the front squat. Obviously I have to progress or regress. I'll have to teach everything like nobody knows anything. So I'll have kids that are ready to front squat, or I have kids that have never front racked the bar in a day in their life. I think that, like I said, I think it comes down to just being a good coach that's able to think on their feet. Like, how can I progress to a front squat? Well, let's say I can teach my goblet squat. Okay, cool. From there, what can I do now? All right, now let's see if we can zombie squat, no arms. Okay, cool. All right, now coach, now what do I do? Okay, now it's similar to a zombie squat. Put the bar in the same spot. Now you put your fingers on it and you'll hold your elbows, point them at the wall. It's just things like that, building upon that nature of like having a progression to being able to do those things. I mean, we've spent with our young group or our middle school group, we had 2 girls test out of the dumbbells. They were able to do 3 sets of 10 with the bar, and I mean, I was honestly shocked. Like, I mean, they go and grab. Normally, they do in dumbbell bench with, like, I don't know, they grab like maybe 30s, 40s, and I'm like, okay, y'all can test out of this. And one girl's like, coach, I can do it too. I'm like, okay, well, I'm watching and watching. I mean, she rocks them. She hits 3 sets of 10 with the bar. I'm like, well, okay, well, yeah, well, it's time for us to, build you up to that bar. I think as long as you have progressions that make sense, you shouldn't go in first day and like, okay, yes, everybody has hit 90%. The way we test strength, I don't do run rep max. I go, I learned this from Joey Gracio. He goes, one of his articles on Simplifaster, he talked about doing a 90% single and then taking a bar speed from there. What I'm doing right now is we're doing a single at 90% and we're taking RPE and reps and reserve from it. And I'm building our training max off of that for the next cycle.
No, that makes sense. What I was trying to get you to do there was box yourself into either the Olympic group or the non-Olympic group, but you didn't fall for it. No, I'm just messing with it. We're dancing around all kinds of hot button issues right now, but no, I'm just giving you a hard time, coach. You're good. Keep going.
All right, increase rate of force development. Now, this is where I finish my analogy. All right, if max strength is the top speed I can get my car to, let's say if I have a nice sport car, I have a Ferrari. If I have a Ferrari, I'm not driving it downtown. I want the Ferrari to go on the highway. I want to hit 100. So I need to be able to access everything that I have in that car. And that's kind of how I see rate of force development. Why I see that you should build that max strength up to the point where you're able to get to that max. But now you have to be able to use it. Like, there's no point in me getting a Ferrari and then driving it on downtown or driving it in like a gated community. I want to get on the highway, and that's the way I see power. So things we build on our rate of force development, we do use Olympic lift variations. Don't tell them, don't attack me. I'm sorry. I teach cleans. I do from the Olympic lift variations. We'll do clean. I haven't done a lot of snatches. Just because, like I said, I think snatches, that's it's my favorite movement for sure. But I think just off a group setting, I don't feel comfortable doing it. Even though most of my athletes, like I said, they are high level athletes, the fact that I could turn my back into something could go wrong, I just don't like it. After that, we do unweighted and weighted jumps, whether it be a trap bar or a barbell. Just the simplicity of it and then the output we're able to get, I love it. Sprinting, one of the most taxing things you can do for your CNS. Every athlete should be sprinting. My pitchers sprint, my swimmers sprint, everybody sprints. I put dynamic effort lifts in there because I don't really have a better word to call it. A dynamic. I'm not like a big West Side guy. This is the best word I could put. What I mean by that is that if I were to have a VBT on it, we're working probably like 0.7 meters per second or faster. On a day that we have a dynamic effort, you're going to hear a lot of bars clicking. You'll see bars moving fast, things along that nature. And then I don't do a lot of it, but I have done some partial range of motion lifts. And this, I need to accelerate the bar as fast as you can, and don't worry too much about the eccentric portion of it. But that's just a few of the things I've done for rate of force development.
Coach, I'm going to butt in and I'm going to say that I'm not driving my Ferrari downtown belongs on a T-shirt of some sort. I think that's a great way to put it, because that's what transferability is a lot of the time. Are we going to be able to utilize the tools and everything? So when we're thinking of rate of force development, and like, let's talk macro cycles right now. Are you always trying to integrate these movements into your program? Is this an off season? Is it in season? Is it preseason? What are you doing in order to get yourself better in your program by especially longitudinal development of the high school kids that you may or may not be working with?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think I'm more, like I said, I'm more of a vertical or concurrent guy where I don't ever just focus on one thing at a time. So it's always going to be some portion of a Olympic lift in my program, even if it's a clean pull or you'll see unweighted jumps all the time or weighted jumps all the time. Obviously, I'll build up the volume to it so we're able to do a little bit more intense things as the cycle goes. But I'm just not a big fan of, we're only going to focus on basic strength now. No, I'm not that. Oh no, we're going to work power. We're going to hit 80% for 4 weeks. No, everything I build up each cycle to where we're able, like I said, we're able to retest every 4 weeks while we're still working on the power side. So I may have a certain block that's going to be more focused towards strength or more focused towards power. It just depends on where I am in the off season. And in the in season, that you still should be working your power and your strength for sure.
I had a question too. Do you have any exercises that you pair together? So like you talked about, you focus a lot on your top speed and your acceleration. On those days, that you're running, are they days that you're also in the weight room? And if they are, do you have certain exercise paired? So like, I know for example, if we're doing change of direction, we'll do a lot of ballistic type exercise in the weight room. So like pogo hops, jump ropes, a lot of single leg type work, just because we're going outside to change direction after. So do you have either certain exercises or maybe just certain things where like, hey, we pair our dynamic unilateral on our speed days or on our change of direction or whatever the case may be?
For sure. It's funny because all your questions are things that are on later slides. I love it. But
go ahead and present, my man.
I'll get good while it's on mine. But on our for example, our acceleration is always on our front, the day we do front squats, just because the relative strength that you need to acceleration is overcoming your own body weight. So the stronger we make, we should be able to become better starters. So the acceleration days, those will be the days that we're under. We're gonna do our max strength lift. On those days, we'll also do a kind of a longer ground contact jump, rather that be a if I go like def jumps, I've done squat, dumbbell jumps, anything where I need to load up before I jump, I will kind of pair those things up, because like I said, if acceleration, that phase, you're going to have a little bit longer ground contact times. Now on our top speed days, those will be the days that we do, our quick ground contact. So, your pogos, your continuous hurdle jumps, your that'd be the day I test our vertical because like I said, that vertical component in top speed. So yeah, I do pair the weight room as best as I can with the speed work. I think a lot of times people get that confused because they try to make the weight room look like the sport. You can't replicate sport in the weight room. I think as strength coaches, our best. I think our job is to do what we think is going to best allow transfer. So building compatible parts of your workouts for sure. And then when it comes to handling stress within your week, having those days where you have your high stress days period. Like I don't want to go high stress in the weight room and then next day go high stress in sprint or do acceleration the day after. So I'm big on trying to consolidate stress.
Good deal.
All right, next thing, I'm huge on developing the posterior chain. So we'll do things like we'll hinge, single leg hinge, Nordic variations. I say variations because I understand not everybody can do a full Nordic curl. Like we'll do things like hair curls, razor curls, anything just to kind of hit the hamstring, hip extensions. So whether it be a kettlebell swing, glute bridge, single leg hip extensions, vertical or horizontal pulls, we'll do those also. We have done a single arm lat pull now. Our pull day. So the days that we do the day we probably have some of our lower volume in the weight room, we'll do like a pull circuit. So we'll do like a bunch of different pull exercises. I personally love it. I know most strength coaches love like the good arm form, bicep triceps. I'm not huge on bicep triceps. I love a good pull circuit though. Our pull is going to be about over 50% of our weight room volume. I keep track of reps through the block. I say over because some weeks are right at 50, and some weeks will go up and be a little bit more, just depending on where we are in the cycle and how many reps I have prescribed for that week. And now what I've come to notice that people that have trained me for a while, most of them have that we've done so much posterior work. They have that Dorito, like everybody says, that Dorito shape, like wide upper body, and they get skinny around the middle. I'm huge on posterior chains. We live in a world where we're doing everything forward. I mean, we don't walk backwards. Most of the time we're sitting. Most of the time we're here looking at our phones, or we're sitting, or we're slouched forward. So from a performance standpoint and just a living standpoint, I try to get as much work as I can on the posterior side.
I love it. I guess I need to come work with you more so I can get that Dorito shape, because I definitely don't look like that now.
All right, then my training schedule. So Monday with our college group, we go change the direction and maneuverability with bench press. Tuesday, we do top speed with our quote unquote dynamic effort lower body. Wednesday, we do change the direction and frontal plane with our med ball throws, limpet press variation, and a dynamic upper. And then our Thursday, we go acceleration with our squat. For our high school group, we switched it because I have so many athletes that are going to showcases on weekends or going to camps. So we go ahead and get the day that's probably our most stressful out the way on Monday. Acceleration and our squat. Then our next day is we fill it up with a day I would kind of describe as like medium to low, because we do have the lowest amount of weight room volume in there. The intent's always going to be high, but the amount of reps I try to keep low. Intent, not intensity, and low, high intent, low intensity on that. So we'll do our change of direction and med ball throws press on that Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll do our top speed and our dynamic effort lower. And then Thursday, we'll work our change of direction, maneuverability, plus our bench press. And like I kind of switched those days because, like I said, I had a professor that said college athletes tend to wake up at night. And I've come to realize all of our programs past our college, their front squat and acceleration day would not be the best on the first day of the week. So that's just kind of how the schedule is. So just based on what I feel is best. I know some people do like to come in and get that high out of the way on Monday, but just knowing the way life goes, like ain't no telling what your weekend was like. And I'd rather just get the low out the way and then hopefully by Tuesday we're ready to roll in our top speed. This is kind of just a template of how our lifts go. On that acceleration squat day, our testing, we'll do our time sprints, a horizontal jump, whether it be just a single broad jump, or we'll go static triple, whatever it may be. RPE and our reps in reserve, that's what we'll test every 4th week. We'll start with a clean variation or a bar jump. From there, we'll go to a squat paired up with a long ground contact jump. We'll go our next pairing, we'll go a secondary squat. So we'll load it up. So reverse lunge, split squat, whatever that movement may be. We'll hinge, which will 9 times out of 10 always be RDL. I love RDLs for sure. One of my favorite movements. And then our last spot, we'll go single leg RDL, and then we'll work a core. So usually a flexion movement. That change of direction frontal with the throws and the Olympic press and dynamic upper. We'll start off with a rotational throw. That'll be right after the warm-up. We'll go into an Olympic press variation, whether it be a push press, push jerk. With our baseball, we've been doing a lot of landmine movements. Like, once again, like, I'm not saying a baseball player or softball can't go overhead. Like I said, I tend to just use the landmine more than anything. Paired up with that, we go vertical med ball through. Next block, we'll do whatever dynamic effort upper we have. If we go bandit speed bench, if we go kneeling landmine, push press, anything where the bar moves fast, hear it click, and it will work a horizontal throw. The next block you'll see, we'll go pull circuit. That's usually going to be we'll usually go 2 horizontal, 2 vertical. That'll be where we put a pull up in. Whatever progression I have for the pull-ups, if we go hang, if we go dead hang, if we go true pull-up, we go chin-ups, we go anybody needs band assistance. I love pull-ups, and I have a goal for like all my athletes. Most of my male athletes can. A goal for all my female athletes is for them to be able to do 5 pull-ups. That's just a goal I have for them. And then we'll finish off the day with a rotation. The thing I've noticed a little bit about the pull circuit, the buy-in from that has been amazing. I think when you look at our week, if I was to show anybody what is training with you look like, I think I would take a video of the pull circuit, because the buy-in we get from all the athletes when it comes to doing that, the intensity of it, the intent behind it is just amazing to see. Our top speed, dynamic effort lower, we'll work our flies. I put vertical jump when possible. Like I said, right now, me still being, like I said, we're still relatively new, haven't hit a year. I haven't had don't have a vertical jump mat yet. Working on that. What it looks like, we'll go a weighted jump, whether it be trap bar or barbell. We'll do our vertical jump or short ground contact jump. From there, we'll go to our main dynamic effort movement by itself. Whether it be trap bar deadlift, where we may be working like a trap bar clean pull, we may work a box squat, whatever. Where I get the bar moving fast. That single leg squat is always going to be a skater squat variation. So if I may go eccentric step up, I may go single leg squat to a bench, I may go true skater. I want all the athletes treating that skater squat like a main movement. So we'll have athletes loaded up with a vest on, hold dumbbells. From there, we'll pair it with a Nordic variation, whatever that may be. I'll hit the frontal plane, so the groin. I may even go to a curtsy lunge in that portion, and then we'll do a hip extension, so a glute bridge, single leg or double. And our last day of the week lift, we go bench press. That's always going to be paired with the single arm row. Second block's always going to be a vertical push, whether it be dumbbell, barbell, landmine, anything vertical. That's going to be also be paired with a horizontal pull. Like say, if you can't notice, I'm huge on building the posterior chain. You're always going to do it with me. The next block, the 3 block, that could basically be the end of our workout. I just put the biceps, triceps in there for the athletes. So that 3 block is going to be the carry, or rather be farmer, high, low, any carry I want there. I'll directly target the shoulder, whether it be a posterior delt, lateral raises, front raises, anything for the shoulder. that in there, I also hit the scapula. Anything I can feel, I can get the shoulder blade to move. Like I said, I have so many throwing athletes. I want to make sure that the scapula stays moving because the scapula is a huge part of keeping your shoulder healthy. And that last block, that's really just for my athletes to feel good. Biceps, triceps, like anybody does on an arm farm day. And I personally love push-ups. So I always have push-ups in our program. We tend to go weighted, we'll go eccentric, we'll go isometric, any push-up variation on that. And I think that's all I got on the presentation wise.
Awesome, Coach. Hey, I really appreciate you. It's obviously a very extremely well thought out program, and you've taken into account a lot of things training in the private sector as well. So we'll open up to Coach Jackson, Coach Cochran, Coach Croc for a couple questions real quick. I got one question we'll end with, but want to hear what they got first.
Coach, have you run into any, because I think you'll maybe start to feel it at the high school level, and there's probably a lot of us that feel it too, of just complementing speed work with our lifting times. Do you get any pushback from whether it's parents, whether it's athletes, of doing all of those things all in the same day?
No, I've come to realize is like once your athletes tend to believe in things you say and do, you tend to not have much bounce back. And then once you can show them the improvements on their sprint times, on their starts, on their flies, on their jumps, they'll appreciate spending more time on that. I think back to when I first started as a coach, and like I said, the workouts I wrote, oh my gosh. I mean, we would have like 2-3 hours of workouts, and I was just like, and I started looking, I looked at them like what am I doing? Did we get anything accomplished today? Rather, like the warm-up was hard. That took 30 minutes. We sprinted, but we might as well have called it conditioning. And then we lifted for an hour. So it's like, I'm building the schedule to the point where everything complements each other. The buy-in from athletes, because they know they only have to go hard for an hour, 15 minutes. I think I'm still in this generation of the kids that I train. Their attention span is not that long. It's not. I can say it being a Gen Z myself. It's not that long. You only have them for about an hour 15 as it is. Once you push to once you get past about that hour and a half, you've kind of lost them. I mean, I even asked our high level Power 5, like, how long of a workout can you handle? They're like, once you get past about an hour and a half, like, I don't care. Like, I'm thinking about anything else but the workout. So just being efficient with their time and then being efficient with mine and then pushing it to an hour and 15, that kind of allows me to be able to have more sessions rather than having a session take 2 hours or hour and a half. With us, what ends up taking the majority of the time is kind of just transition from the turf to here, getting the sled off. Like our athletes right now are having the biggest issue adjusting the belts on the sled. I have no clue what is making it so hard. It takes like 2 minutes to change the belt on the sled. And I work out just like them, and I can do it in 30 seconds. But for them, it's like pulling teeth. So on the acceleration, they have to add, maybe 10 extra minutes because we can't get the belt off. So
no, for sure. I think overall, like the whole presentation for me today, where I see my young self and even my current self with you, where I'm only 2 years older than you. So I think you killed it, man. I think everything is squared up well. I was even messaging back and forth with my man Andre over here of how you're just like squaring up, and he's like, man, like that squares up with everything. But final question for me, going back to Bounty, in our program, we talk about springiness, being able to just do that efficiently. What are you cueing to kind of develop that bounce in your athletes?
I ain't gonna lie, it's probably the funniest. It's gonna be the funniest coaching cue you ever heard. I promise you. I don't know what area you live in, but around here we have like 5 trampoline parks. And I always say, feel like you're at whatever trampoline park. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And they just get it. That's simple as that.
Yeah. I'm in Charlotte, so I'm not too far away. We do have an absurd amount of trampoline parks in the Carolinas. I will give you that. But no, I appreciate it. I'll bounce over to Coach Croc, and then Coach Mullins finishes up. But I appreciate it, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Antwann, I mean, great job with your presentation, man. One thing that I appreciate is just you have a plan, right? You have a breakdown of what it is that you want to do from a exercise order, exercise selection, what it is that you're doing outside. And I think sometimes as strength coaches, we get so comfortable and we do it, and it's so secondhand nature that we don't have that breakdown that we can either give to other coaches or go over with the sport coach. So I think that's really huge in your development as a coach, is just having that breakdown, like, hey, Monday, this is what we're doing for, our jumps, our squats in this particular order. That way, in the event that you get that sport coach who just demands a breakdown of every single thing you're doing, you have that in your back pocket. So I commend you on that, having a plan and everything. My question and then follow-up question is, what do you personally prioritize? And what I mean by that is, doesn't matter what the sport is that you're coaching, not necessarily the time of the year, like what is it that you're prioritizing, whether it's top speed, acceleration work, change of direction, weight room stuff, like what do you hold like, hey man, like wherever I am at, we are going to be good at this?
For sure. For me, it's going to be top speed. I'm a big Tony Holler fan. I believe in what he puts out, with speed being the tide that raises all boats. I believe in it for sure. Like I say, I think if I've been telling like one of my pitchers, baseball wise, I was like, if I can get you to run under 0.9 in your fly, I believe you'll throw 93. And of course, we'll see the buy-in from that. Like I said, with sprinting being one of the most demanding things you can do as you're seeing this, it should build that capability, everything else. I mean, I was fortunate to play with, guys that are in the NFL or will have opportunities. And when I think about them, I mean, they weren't the strongest guy on the bar, but what I think about is like speed wise, like you were going so fast, like you 230-pound men were falling off of you and they were coming full speed because you're going so fast. So I think for me, it's always going to be speed. When you think about all the movements you do, coming out of a break, like I said, being able to get re-accelerate, change, like I said, coming out of change direction, breaking away from opponents. I think when you think of athleticism, I think the first thing that may pop into your mind is speed. So that's just my priority, always be. So even in season, I'll have the whoever's in season, I'll have them sprint one day, at least one day a week. We'll do like just 2 to 3 flies, just so we're still hitting it during the season. Because I know at practice or not, so and I know at games or not. So
for sure, and I think that's really important because I think that strength and conditioning nowadays is shifting more from the like weight room clanging and banging and into the sprinting, jumping. It used to be like we're going to spend 45 minutes in the weight room and then the last 15 outside.
Sure.
In my opinion, I feel like a lot of the great programs, they're almost even 30 minutes in the weight room, 30 minutes outside. So that's good that you're ahead of the game and prioritizing speed, because I think we'll start to see more coaches that are like, I mean, well, first of all, let's be honest. Like some of these kids, like I need to see a birth certificate because like, you got your middle schooler. I had a middle schooler today. I'm like, hey, man, you missed the high school group. He's like, Coach, I'm going to 7th grade. And this kid's like 6'1", 180. So like we talk about making them stronger, but like we don't really need to make them bigger. So like, let's make them faster because 6'1", 180 outrunning everybody. I don't care what position you play. So I think you're ahead of the game right now. Prioritizing speed. My next follow-up question, just to see if they match. What do you think you coach the best, right? Like, what is it that you think that, whether it's weight room, top speed, which is your favorite, like, what is that you feel like, man, $1 million on the line, I got to coach this at a really high level. I got to get my kids to come out here and execute it at a high level. I am doing this. Like, what is it that you think that you coach this really, really well?
I would say top speed, even though like I said, I was a I was a low 4.7 guy my freshman year. That I got big, and then I became a fullback. So I'm not a blazer. I'll be the first to admit, but I still have the ability to demo. So I think when it comes to speed work, in my own training, I do a lot of the movements that my athletes do. So from a demo side, I'm using that, the athletic background and being young, still having the ability. I'm using that to my advantage. So if an athlete doesn't understand a speed movement, I'm able to do it with relative ease. Because like I said, I'm either have done it that morning or I did it all through my career. And I think I was lucky enough to have strength coaches that did teach speed mechanic wise some things. I mean, we did it in the weight room. Most of our teammates didn't understand like why we did it, but me being a guy I knew I was going to be a strength and conditioning coach eventually. I kind of picked up on why we were doing things. So I picked up a lot of cues from them. And then the social media our strength and conditioning social media is a mess, let's be real, but it's also so much good out there. Especially when it comes to speed work. And once you surround yourself once you get to the right speed work, like Coach Moses with us when they showed when Les Spellman showed where you search speed work and it was just a terrible drill. I think being a strength coach, being able to discern what's actually speed work, what'll help, what won't help, and then just knowing your athletes, like what do your athletes need. So that's kind of just how I do it. Right now, my athletes that I deal with, their biggest issue is for them to be as strong as they are, they need more power. So that's why we spend more time doing bounds, doing power skills. They understand how it should look. They understand the way it should feel. I just need you to express that strength that we have in the weight room. Like I said, I want that Ferrari on the highway. So I'm just trying to teach more of the power in their sprinting.
Gotcha. Last thing, what's your coaching cue for when you're doing speed? I like to tell the guys when they line up, hey, let's go get paid. What's your one liner? Give it to me. I need some more in my bag, man. What do you like to say to your kids?
My go-to is always punch the ground. Punch the ground.
Okay. It doesn't have as much sauce as go get paid, but
it don't. Like I said, my kids laugh at me, man. They treat me like I'm a dinosaur, and I'm 24. So,
nah, great job, man. Coach Mullins, go ahead.
Coach, I love it. Go get paid, man. That's something else that's going to be on a shirt at some point in time. Like,
yeah, man,
we're throwing marketing ideas out there at each other. No, dude, Coach Croc, you were giving me flashbacks there for a minute, talking about your 7th grader, man. You seen the movie The Benchwarmers?
Yeah.
He hands him the birth certificate. He's like, I am 12. Like, that's what I got the flashback to right there.
That was his kid today. He wasn't even in 8th grade. That's the crazy thing. Dude was in 7th grade. I was like, God,
crazy. The big as I was when I was a senior. So, Coach, I got one thing I wrote down here, man, for the article or the recap this week, man. You've got to echo kind of what both coaches have said so far, man. You've got the fingerprints of a very well-rounded program that's ready to execute at a high level. And it's really refreshing to see somebody your age just getting started, who's already thinking about things that it took me 6-7 years of making mistakes to start thinking about. And that's really, really exciting, man. There's no doubt about it. You're gonna absolutely crush it when you transition to the high school level and crush it for a long time. But I do want to ask you a question. This was something my brain started thinking about after we talked about having you on. As somebody that is in the private sector, somebody that's also transitioning to high school, so you are training high school teams, you're also training the private sector. What are some things that we can do as high school strength coaches to help communicate better with those private strength coaches? What are some things to kind of bridge that gap between the two? Because I think private coaches get a bad rap for wanting to kill kids all the time and take away that the high school doesn't care. High school coaches give private sectors a bad rap and back and forth. So what are some things that how do we navigate that conversation? What are some things we can do to kind of bring those two sides closer together and bring it about the athlete, which is what it's supposed to be anyway?
Yeah, just like you said, it's about the athlete. If there's something, I think one of the biggest things you can do to boost your program as a high school strength and conditioning coach is like I said, we all realize there's certain things we have athletes that do need something extra. They need something else. If you have a private sector strength and conditioning coach, as I said, keep in mind, I say strength and conditioning coach, not a trainer. Anybody can be a trainer. It takes somebody to be that's one of my biggest pet peeves when somebody calls me a trainer. I was like, no, strength and conditioning coach. So if you have one of those in your area, connect with them. That can be one of the biggest things that can help build your program. Like you said, maybe you're not the best at teaching speed. Maybe you have a private trainer in your area, a private strength and conditioning coach in your area that can teach Olympic lifts better than you can. That's a resource that you can use. Like I said, if we want to speak athlete first. As strength coach, we shouldn't be getting to a pissing match with each other. I train I train this better. He trains it. No, end of the day it's not. Our careers are over. We came into this field to help our athletes get to the next level, or to make the athletes have longevity in their careers. So it's not about us, no matter what. I mean, I like I said, me being a private facility, I see people walk in and out all the time. As long as that athlete is somewhere where they're going to be improving themselves, that is fine by me. I'll be just fine, because it's not about us. No matter what Twitter tries to, no matter what arguments you see on Twitter, it's not about us. It's not. I don't even like taking credit for when my athletes do good, because sometimes I'm like, you may have done that without me. So it's let's just come down. Just realize it's not about you.
No doubt, Coach. I appreciate you, man. And you absolutely crushed it, man. This summer's off to a great start. Like between last week and this week, man, you guys have absolutely brought your game and delivered stuff that has the potential to make real world impact. Allows us to take things back to our own training segments as we go. And we are, I wholeheartedly believe that the conversations we're having, and I believe so in the reactions with the views on YouTube and the messages I'm getting, you guys are bringing game that's really helping people out, and giving real world things that they could go implement right now into their programs to make their athletes as we prepare for this next academic calendar that's bringing a whole nother athletic calendar as well. So, Coach, I appreciate you. Holy crap, if I could talk, that'd be cool. I appreciate you taking the time to get this together on the fly in a very short notice and get ready, man. And I'm really happy that we were able to connect in Charleston, because you absolutely crushed it, Coach. And that was awesome, man. And this is, again, speaks volumes of our industry and the way the fact that we are in good hands as we move forward. And I appreciate y'all for staying on a little late. If y'all have questions, feel free to hang out. I'm going to stop the recording and we'll hang out and talk. And if not, I know it's getting late, and we've most of us have a lot of training tomorrow, but wanted to say thank you guys for hopping on, and I appreciate you guys for taking the time to come out with us. So thank you guys.
Yes, sir.